Good day, sir.
Sir Higgins, good day. Hmm. Question. Since I don't get to talk to you often, do you have access to the course container on Canvas?
On Canvas. Hold on, let me check. Last I checked, I was only seeing one of my course being reflected. That was telecommunication. But let
Hmm.
me double check. Um, because I was waiting on the overrides to be approved
Hmm.
for this course. Uh, courses. Yeah, I'm
Good.
seeing it now, sir.
Oh, you're seeing us. Good. Okay. Let me check. All right.
Did you give it any courseworks? Yes, sir.
Not yet. That will probably come next week.
Okay.
The reason I ask is because, oh, would you look at that? Everybody's here. All right, cool. Yeah, so the reason I asked about that is because I wanted to know if you I might, well, no, it's not that question. You're definitely going to need the recordings because we need to go through, or you would need to go through the stuff that we've covered so far.
Yeah.
The first graded piece comes when we finish this particular unit, which is unit two that we're just going to be starting today. And unit two is a very, very short unit. It's not going to take us more than a week to finish it. So let's get that sorted. And also today is going to be a short session as well. We could technically do the whole of unit two in one class, but it's a lot of different stuff. Not that it's a lot of content, but it's a lot of different small things. And I don't want to fry on the brain with a bag of small things. I think it'd be better for us to focus on one thing at a time and take it slow and go through them one. Um okay, give me one sec. I'm checking Canvas. Okay, I'm looking at Canvas now and I see, oh, everybody's here. Tariq, Romain, and Damoy. Can you guys confirm on your side? Damoy and
Yes, sir.
Tariq, you can confirm that you
Yes,
guys
sir. Yes,
also have
sir.
access because I can see your names here now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see everything now.
All right, because yeah, you were here all along, eh?
Yes, sir.
Tariq, okay. One second.
Thank you, sir.
Well, geez, now I feel like I need to put a picture up because the throne have a picture. Um, one sec. All right, with that in mind, let me see if I can just spend a little bit of time to make sure that everything that I intend to post is posted. So currently, I have the first and the second PowerPoints up. I have the third PowerPoint up. I think I need to post two more PowerPoints. So let me do that now before we get started. Today's Tuesday. We're in week three. So let me see. In week two, so this is skills. So that post already. So now I need to post Friday's lecture slides, which is this. I don't suppose any of you guys went to open day today, did you? On campus. Sounds like a no.
No, sir.
Okay. I technically didn't go either. I mean, I was at school. Never alone. Wait, that's the wrong slides. Oops. Remove. This one, which is this, is based on fundamental concepts and wait, what? I have it posted twice? Why do I have it twice? Oh, all right, give me a second, guys. Okay, all right. So that is the second set of slides for week 2 posted just now. I'm going to post today's slides. Let's see. And what we're going to be covering today is known as the product life cycle. And it's the beginning of unit 2. So unit 2, product life cycle. And since I'm here, before I forget, I was going to post the recordings as well. Would you want me to do that now, or you want me to start class so we can finish fast? Tell me what you want me to do. Can do either one. Posting the recordings should take a few minutes. So you tell me what you want me to do.
Can post them after class, sir.
Post them up to class. All right, no problem.
Mhm.
Okay, in that case, allow me to share my screen. Share my screen and get my notes out so that we can begin. All right, cool. Is my audio low or can you hear me well? Should be high enough. Looking at my levels should be good. Okay, cool. If I'm low, you can tell me. But yeah. All right. So, gentlemen, good afternoon. Like I said, what we're going to be doing today is covering the first topic in Unit 2, which is known as the product life cycle. But before that, though, just to recap stuff that we'd have gone through already. On Friday, we'd have wrapped up Unit 1. We covered integration types. We covered methodologies. We covered fundamental concepts and also required skills. And one of the things that we had also done, we'd put all those things together in an activity that centered around the Kingston Public Hospital. We did a case study on integrating a system using the KPH as an example. And basically, that's solid foundation for what we have going forward. Tonight, we're going to start something different. Unit 2 is going to be all about the product life cycle. Up until now, what we've been focusing on is more the technical side of things, which is how do you connect systems? Also, what skills do you need? And what tools do you use? Well, Unit 2 is going to ask different questions. The question asked is, what happens to a product and a system over time? All right. Oh, I need to go on the next slide. Hold on, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, it asks what happens to products and systems over time. And the reason this matters for systems integration is the products that you're going to be integrating, they're not frozen in time. They have different phases. Your products and your systems, they will launch, they'll grow, they'll mature, and then eventually they'll go on the decline. And where a product sits in that cycle affects everything about how you integrate with it. One of the things that you'll find that are affected by, or rather, a few of the things that you'll find that are affected by the product lifecycle is how much support that you're going to get from the vendor, how stable the APIs are, and how long the technology is even going to be around, right? So we're going to get into it. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the product lifecycle, or PLC for short. If you hear me say PLC, what I'm talking about is the product lifecycle. And the product lifecycle refers to the stages that a product goes through from initial development to its eventual decline and discontinuation. When I mention product, however, in this particular course, I'm not talking about a physical thing like your phone or your laptop. What I'm actually talking about is a software product. Or rather, I'm not only talking about the physical devices, I'm also talking about your software product. So your product can be a physical thing, or it can be software, or it can be a system. All right. All right. So an ERP system. An ERP system is an enterprise resource planning system. For some context, an ERP system is a big software that handles companies' finances. It handles inventory. It handles HR, and it handles all those things in one place. An example of an ERP system is SAP. SAP stands for again. One second. I don't remember what SAP stands for. SAP ERP. SAP stands for Jaja. It doesn't say what it stands for. SAP stands for Systems, Applications, and Products in Data Processing. Okay, so yeah, that's it's a integration system in ERP. Sorry, where was I? Yeah, ERP being Enterprise Resource Planning. Yeah, so that particular application, SAP or SAP, is one of the biggest ERP vendors in the world, and it has a life cycle. A CRM, for example, also has a life cycle, and a CRM, like I mentioned last week, is a customer relationship software. Sorry, customer relationship management software, and that's owned by Salesforce. I think I talked about that last week as well. It also has a life cycle. Even the APIs have a life cycle. For example, version 1 could get released. It could grow into adoption, and then eventually it gets replaced by version 2, and then version 1 gets deprecated or shut down. You guys familiar with the term deprecation? You've heard about deprecation before? Waiting for you guys. Let me know. I don't want to be saying, I'm going to be saying
Deprecation, and we're
deprecation and then be
familiar
saying
with
stuff
the
like
deprecation, but you said something more to deprecation, sir?
Right, sure. So deprecation, you can think of it as a particular software or a system or maybe an API or a part of an API in a system that is getting phased out and replaced with a new version. So in an example where you have your software and you want to integrate it into some other vendor software, they have a function that you use to deliver a certain service to your customer. But then that third-party software says, starting in late 2026, we're going to be deprecating this particular function in favor of a new function that has different requirements. So it would be up to you as a system integrator to plan your migration away from using that function so that when they finally shut down that function, your system continues to work as if nothing ever happened. So deprecation is when a particular function or a system gets slowly phased out in favor of a new system. All right? Tell me if that makes sense. Yeah, hold on. I think if you guys don't want to
Uh,
unmute, you should be able to react like thumbs up or something, so you can use that as well. Demo, you were saying, was that okay? Do we understand deprecation? Do I need to spend a
Wait,
little bit more time on that?
tiny bit more time on it.
All right, let me see. Let me see if I can find a good depre.
Deprecation is from depreciation, right, sir?
Mm,
Them have a
mm,
similar meaning?
Similar meaning, I want to say yes. So deprecation is an accounting term. So hold on, let me see something. Deprecation in computing. In computing. Tell me what depreciation mean in your head, in the way that you know it.
That the value of something over time
Oh yeah, it loses value over
goes
time.
down.
I
Yeah.
see.
Loses
Okay.
body over
Yeah.
time.
Right. So let me see now. Depreciation in computing refers to a loss of value in IT assets, whether hardware or software, over time due to wear, tear, rapid technology obsolescence. Okay, this is similar to
That's
what I was
basically the
saying.
same thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I guess it is critical, or it's a critical accounting process where initial cost of, okay, yeah, that's the same thing as what you were saying, usually life cycle, blah, blah, blah. But yeah,
But
I
that's
guess I was thinking about,
depreciation, sir.
yeah. Oh, I typed the wrong thing. My bad. My bad. Depreciation. Did I spell deprecation wrong? Deprecation.
Think it's R-E, sir.
Deprecate.
P-R-E.
And is
Yeah,
this? Oh, did I
P-R-E.
spell it wrong again? Depreciation. Jaja, why make I spell this? Come again. Depre.
It's P-R-E-C-A-T-I-O-N.
Hold on, let me zoom. Let me see what it said. Deprecated. Unless deprecation isn't a word. Deprecated refers to a computer feature, API, library, or practice that is considered obsolete. Okay, this is more in line with that, what I was saying. Um, no longer recommended for use or planned for removal in future versions. While still functional, it is officially discouraged, usually replaced by better alternatives, or no longer receives active maintenance or support. Let me see if I can think of an example. Um,
Windows 10.
yeah, I was going to say that, but I didn't know if you guys would be able to relate. But yes, that is the first thing I thought. Windows 10. So you guys
Yeah,
know
Windows
about
10.
how Windows 10 no longer gets software updates
Security,
or
yeah,
security
security
updates?
updates.
Yeah. The more Tarek, let me hear from you. You know about Windows 10 not being able to get security updates anymore?
Yes, sir.
So that software is currently at end of life. And it's something that we're actually going to be talking about during this session about how Windows 10 is at end of life and is experiencing deprecation at the moment. So yeah, have a better understanding of what I mean by deprecation or deprecated.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, okay. So what I was saying now. So yeah, why do organizations care so much about the PLC or the product life cycle? The answer to that is because it helps them to make smart decisions in four key areas. And I'm going to be talking about those four key areas, as you can see on the slides. The first one, strategic planning. Knowing where your product is in the life cycle tells you whether you need to invest heavily or maintain what you have right now or start planning for the next thing. Secondly, marketing. You market differently depending on the phase that you're currently in. When you're launching, you're going to build awareness because you're trying to get people to use your product. When you're mature, you're going to start defending your market share. You're defending against the competitors that you're going to have, right? Thirdly, is resource allocation. A product in the growth phase needs more developers, it needs more servers, it needs more support staff, it needs more resources overall. But a product in the decline needs fewer resources. You shift those resources over into the next product that you're going to be building, right? There's no point in you putting all of your resources into a product that you're going to phase out next month or next 6 months, right? Because it's on the decline. Maybe not a lot of people using it. All the customers that are currently using it, they've been made aware that the system is going to be shut down in a little while. So people start to jump ship, not jump ship, but they start to migrate over to the new system, right? So you don't need to keep all of your resources dedicated to that declining system. So you move your resources. The fourth thing now is product development. The PLC tells you when it's time to start building the replacement. And often you want to start building this replacement well before the current product actually starts declining. Yeah. And for system integrations specifically, the PLC matters because you need to know how long the system that you're integrating is going to be around for. If you spend 6 months building an integration with a system that's about to be retired, that's a waste of time and a waste of money. Tell me if you guys agree. Tell me if you see the point I'm
Yes,
trying
sir.
to make. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be talking about the 4 different phases of the PLC. The PLC has 4 phases, as I said. It has integration, it has growth, maturity, and decline. I'm going to spend some time talking about each one individually. So phase 1, which is introduction. This is when the product just launched. Sales are going to be low because nobody really knows about your product yet, for example. And the cost in this case is going to be very high because you spent a lot on development and you also spent a lot on marketing to build awareness of the system. There's probably not going to be a lot of competition at the moment because the product is brand new. And the focus is going to be on getting people to use your product. You're trying to get brand awareness and early adoption, right? For integration, the introduction phase is kind of tricky because you might have maybe APIs are a bit unstable at the moment because you just met them. Documentation might be poor because, again, you just met them and you don't really know what works yet. You don't know what to commit to yet. The vendor is still figuring out the product, and in this case, the vendor would be, the person that is creating this product or the system. They're still figuring out the product because they just launched. And you'd be taking a risk in integrating with something that might change dramatically in the next release, right? So what I mean by that is, seeing as how this product is brand new, it hasn't gotten its footing yet, maybe. It doesn't really know if it is nailing the needs of the customers. So since it's brand new, it's going to come up with a particular release and it's going to watch how the customers or the clients react to how the system works. And if it's a case where they realize that their research based on how the customers use it tell them they need to pivot into a new direction, they're going to want to update to fit the needs of the clients. So you may not want to build your system to integrate so heavily into that system when it's brand new because you don't know how it's going to change in the short term. It's unpredictable at that point. So it's not a good idea to integrate your system into another system that is in the introduction phase. Tell me if I'm clear. Are we good with that?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yeah, cool. Phase 2 now. Phase 2 deals with growth. So at this point, the product has caught on. Sales are increasing rapidly, and profits start to rise because you're spreading the development costs more evenly over more customers. But here's the thing. Competitors have noticed your success, and they're starting to release similar products to yours. So while sales are up, you're still trying to fight for market share. You're still trying to defend yourself from, the people that are saying, oh, use this instead of that because this have this feature and that have that feature. You're trying to set yourself apart from the competition so that you can keep your market share. And for integration, the growth phase is usually the best time to build integrations, Reason being, the product is improving quickly. The vendor, being the manufacturer, the creator of the product, is investing heavily into their platform. They're investing heavily into their APIs, and the APIs are becoming more stable because they know what the people want and they're just hardening what they have now. And there's good documentation because the vendor wants third parties to integrate with them, right? They're encouraging other third parties to integrate with them. So in order for them to encourage third parties to integrate with them, they're going to want to solidify their documentation. Excuse me. Sorry. Solidify their documentation so that it becomes very easy and seamless to integrate into this product. Yeah. Okay. Phase 3 now is maturity. At this point in maturity, or in this phase, the maturity phase, sales have peaked. The market is saturated. Most people who are going to be using your application or your system, they're already using it. The growth at this point, it slows down or it even comes to a stop. The competition is fierce at this point. And company focus is going to be on one of two things, or no, sorry, it's going to be on two things. The first thing is differentiating themselves from the competitors and also cutting costs to maintain profit margins. For integration, maturity is a stable but cautious time. APIs are well documented, they're reliable, but the vendor might be less responsive to feature requests because they're focused on cost efficiency. When I say feature requests, what I mean is requests coming from your user base to make changes or add features to the application. So they're going to be less likely to accept those feature change requests because you want to focus more on cost efficiency. We're not trying to set ourselves apart from the competition anymore because we already have market share and we want to maintain that cost efficiency. So at this point, you should start thinking about what's going to come next because maturity does not last forever. And the final phase now, phase 4, is decline, which is inevitable. The demand at this point is dropping. Maybe the market shifted. Maybe a new technology has made the product obsolete. Maybe consumer preferences have changed. But companies either going to phase out the product or they're going to try to reinvent themselves for a new market. And for integration, decline, we consider this the danger zone. The vendor might reduce support in a case like this, or they're going to stop releasing software updates, like in the example of Windows 10, or maybe they even shut down their APIs entirely. If you're heavily integrated into a declining product, what you need to do as a system integrator is start planning your migration strategy. Yeah. I want to understand why, yes? Why we need to start planning our migration strategy if we have solid integration into a currently declining or on the decline system or software or product. I think I'd given an example. I was saying, like, for the example of deprecation, if you're using some system and it is on the decline, it's deprecating slowly or even depreciating, you're going to find that if your system is very heavily reliant on it, give it a couple months, a few months, maybe 6 months, when that system is eventually phased out completely or shut down, your system is going to be trying to contact or rely on some service that no longer exists. And then your customer base is going to be feeling that because if you can, for example, I don't know, what's an example I can think of now? Or maybe I have examples later that I can pull on. But yeah, if you're trying to rely on some system that goes down because it's at its end of life, your customer base is going to feel it because you will not be able to satisfy that need that the customers have. Let me know if I'm clear. Any part of that you want me to do again, or we're good?
No, sir, it's all right.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Can let me know if there's anything I need to go over again. But yeah, so the next thing, the PLC curve. So on the slide that you see in front of you, you will see an example of the classic PLC curve, where we'll have time on the x-axis, right? Yeah, the horizontal one is x-axis. And we have, wait, where's the thing? Am I missing? Oh, I had a thing over here. Okay, my name there is gone. Actually, let me put it back. Hold on. Copy, paste. I had a label on this side that said sales. That is currently no longer there. My mistake. Sales. Okay. So right. In the x-axis, we have time, and in the y-axis, we have sales. All right. Sales or revenue, whichever one you prefer. So I want you to take note. You should be able to see how it starts off slow in the introduction phase here, yeah. And then it rises steeply during growth. At this point to this point here, it rises steeply during the growth phase. And then it flattens out during maturity, which is about here-ish. And you can see how it starts to drop in revenue or sales as it enters the decline phase. Yeah. This curve is useful because it gives you a visual framework. When somebody tells you that a product is entering maturity, for example, you can picture exactly where on the curve that might mean. Yeah. This curve makes sense to you guys? Any part of it I need to explain? Do we see the different parts that I described? Introduction, we have low sales. And then during the growth phase, we start to pick up in sales. During maturity, it starts to flatten out. And then on decline, it starts to decrease. Yes?
Yes,
Any
sir.
questions
Yes,
about
sir.
this? All right. Okay. So with that in mind, let's talk about a real world product. Now, when I was making these slides, right, I was thinking to myself, you guys are like, I don't know, are you guys like 21, 22 maybe? If so old? You guys know what Blackberries are?
That's
Yeah,
20.
yes, sir.
You are, oh, so you know what Blackberries. What was Tariq saying?
Yes, sir. What
All
about
right.
that person?
You know about BlackBerry. All right, cool, fine, fair. That makes this part easier then, since you don't know about BlackBerry. Okay, so we're gonna look at a real world example. So let's take this concrete example that you apparently all know. So BlackBerry's, we're going to trace BlackBerry through the PLC, and we're talking about BlackBerry, the phone, as opposed to the company, not the company. We look at the phone, because I think the BlackBerry company is still probably in fairly good business, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what I'm doing, but the phone is definitely dead. Okay, so introduction was in the late 1990s to the early 2000s. BlackBerry launched as an email pager. You know what a pager is? I mean, I can't blame you because I don't really know what a pager is. I've never had one. I don't know what they're really used for. I feel like it's like a phone that can only text. That's my understanding of what a pager is. As a matter of fact, a pager is like a phone that can only receive text. It can't send text. It can only receive them, I feel like. But yeah, with that in mind, think of it as like an email pager, but for business professionals. In the early adoption phase, or rather, sorry, in the introductory phase, what I should say, nobody really knew what it was. Yeah. Sales were slow. Companies were spending, or rather, the BlackBerry company was spending heavily to get business to adopt it. And there were very few competitors in the mobile email space. So that's the introductory period. We're going to talk about the growth period now. Roughly 2004 to 2008. That's when BlackBerry started to explode. Everybody wanted one. Features like the physical keyboard, BBM or BlackBerry Messenger, if you guys are familiar, and the feature of having push email or being able to send emails right from your phone. Sales were growing massively at this point. But competitors started to appear. You had competitors like Nokia started making smartphones, and Windows actually started making smartphones as well, the Windows Phone, and a bunch of other different competitors. But that never mattered. BlackBerry was the king at the time. Maturity now. Maturity was around 2009 to 2011. BlackBerry was everywhere, but the growth at this point, it kind of paused, it stalled. Not to say that it wasn't being used, but it wasn't growing anymore as a company, or as a phone rather. The market was saturated with BlackBerry devices. There were so many different BlackBerry devices at the time. And the company was making good money, but it wasn't really growing a whole lot. So they're trying to differentiate themselves with different models. different touchscreen models because at the time touchscreen was starting to become a thing, right? Yeah, Blackberries weren't touchscreen. They weren't always touchscreen. They got to have touchscreen models very late in their product life cycle. So they started to differentiate themselves from the competition by introducing touchscreen models. And that came in the form of like the BlackBerry Storm and I think the BlackBerry Torch. I don't remember if the Torch was
Was they
touchscreen.
really touch screen though, sir?
Oh, it was like, all right, when
It
I was
was
in high
more
school,
like
they
a
called it a
push
press
screen.
screen. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
push screen. Yeah, yeah. They called it press screen when I was in high school. Like you touch the thing that you want and then you push the
You
screen in
push
and the
it
whole
down.
screen click.
They
Yeah.
still get like a click sensation on it.
Yeah. So
So
it
it
wasn't
wasn't
really
really a
touch
touch.
screen. Yeah, it was like push screen or press screen. I remember that. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, so they started to try to separate themselves from the competition by implementing touch screen and push screen and press screen, right? Um, and this made competition get really, really fierce, right? Okay, so the next part of the life cycle now, the decline, which was between 2012 onward. The iPhone had already launched from 2007, and Android was kind of growing fast. BlackBerry couldn't really keep up by this point, and the market share kind of started to collapse. They tried to reinvent themselves by implementing BlackBerry 10 OS, but by this point, it was already too late. By 2016, they stopped making their own phones entirely. So like they would not exactly outsource, but I think what they were doing at that time was they were making their software available to other manufacturers. So it wasn't just the BlackBerry company making BlackBerry phones at the time, or they were opening up their software to other companies so that they could implement BlackBerry related features into other phones other than BlackBerry phones. Yeah. So now here's the integration angle. Actually, before that, have any questions? Or we're good? We're solid? Before I get into the integration angle. Yeah. All right, no questions. So yeah, the integration angle now. Say for instance, you were a company in 2010 and you wanted to build your entire mobile strategy around the BlackBerry platform, integrating deeply with their BES. BES is BlackBerry Enterprise servers. So they have servers, which is a separate product that they provide as well, separate from the BlackBerry phone itself. So they have the BES servers and they have the BBM APIs, the BlackBerry Messenger APIs. So what I'm saying is, imagine that you're a company in 2010 and you're building your mobile strategy around the BlackBerry platform. You're integrating deeply with the BES servers and the BBM APIs. By time 2013 come around, you'll be in trouble because these services not really being used anymore. Because at this point in the BlackBerry product cycle, they'd be on the decline. The product that you integrated into their services, it would be on the decline. And then by this time, you'd have to scramble to rebuild everything to work for iOS and Android because that's what people are moving over by this time. And this is why understanding the PLC is very important. This is why understanding PLC matters, right? Question for you guys. Can you think of any other product that went through these phases? Like maybe something in Jamaica that you saw rise and fall? Any examples come to mind when you think about it?
You would say DVD player, sir?
DVD players to brown scram. I'm surprised you guys know about that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
it's the same
guess
thing with even CD players, huh?
with CD players, that's true. Yeah, I really want to feel like they had a really good life, though. I don't know how long it lasted, but yeah, DVD players and CD, like the audio CD players, like you have your Walkman, you put the CD in there. Yeah, those had a pretty good life, but yeah, those would have gone through very similar life
Similar
cycles.
with the sound decks and the MP3 players.
Right, exactly right. And you mentioned sound like an MP3 player, but what about your iPods and even further, your phone? Because if you have a phone, you'd have absolutely no reason. Well, depending on what your use case is, because there are people nowadays that still want to get not even CD players. People still buy record players in 2026, and those are the audio files. Those are people that like have reason to believe that they can actually feel or hear the difference in the audio. And I'm not saying that there's no difference. But me, as a normal human being, I can't see the difference. But there are people that can definitely hear the difference in um the audio that comes from a record player as opposed to listening to it on Spotify or even on YouTube. Yeah.
But that one is a flip phone, but I don't think those are out because it seems like they're actually coming back in.
That is true. Yeah. They're coming back in the
In
form
a
of,
different type of way, but not like
yeah, like
classic flip
folding phones,
phones.
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because let me see. Let me pull up an image. Where's my browser? Hold on one sec. Didn't the Razor come back? Razor. Let me just search Razor. Okay, so this was the Razor back when I was in, when was I? I was in high school, early high school.
Yeah, I
But
think
then,
there's a new one, a modern one.
yeah, see there?
Yeah,
This is
that's
the
it.
new Razor
Yeah.
where it actually flips. There's a seam right here and it flips and it closes. Yeah. So this is what it used to be. And this is what it is now. To be honest, though, I say no, but I don't think this is a really popular phone, to be honest. This lasted probably only for gimmicks. Like the people that had a Razor. Oh, wait, what's this? Is this real? Wow. This looks sick
No,
still.
I don't think that's real.
I feel like I remember something like this is real. Yeah, this is real. I remember this. I remember this came out. This is 2019. Yeah, man, this is real for sure. This is real. So this was trying to make it look just like the first time Razor. So they're trying to appeal to nostalgia in that case, I guess. And then they redesigned and came out with the one that I showed a while ago, which is, I guess, this one or this one. Yeah. Yeah. The Motorola Razor. But yeah, all those devices, the CDs, CD players, DVDs, DVD players, the record players, those are all gone through the same thing. There was a lot of competition around, which one was it? Was it DVD? DVD competition. Was it? It wasn't DVD, no, it was VHS. VHS. You guys know what VHS? VHS competitor. A Betamax, right? I never know about this. I only knew about VHS because that was the one that me and my family adopted into. But there was this thing called Betamax that was a huge competitor to VHS. I keep saying VHS. I still need to get confirmation. You guys know what VHS is? Like, you know what a video cassette is? This
Yes,
thing,
sir.
you know what
Yes,
it is?
sir.
Okay,
The
Yes,
cool. You
very
know
sir.
what
big
a
cassette
VCR is?
tapes.
Yeah, man. Come again?
The big cassette tapes.
Cassette tapes, right? Yeah. So there was a big competition between VHS and Betamax. And I'm hearing that Betamax was objectively superior, but for some reason, and I don't know what the reason was, VHS won. And that's the one that got adopted into every household, and that's the one that had everybody buying VHS players in their home and everything. But yeah, we don't really talk about it now because they're not even on the decline, they're dead. There's nobody
Those
that's
are
using
dead.
VHS now. Yeah, they're
Dead.
fully dead. Very dead. But yeah, it would have gone through the
VHS.
same similar life cycle. Sorry, what are you
Like
saying?
alcohol on the ribbon.
Exactly right. All right. So yeah, those are some pretty good examples. Okay. Let me see now. Right. Okay. So I'm gonna give you some examples. And I want you to tell me, based on what you know about these things, what phase you think they're in. So quick exercise. And there might be not one right answer for the things that things that I'm going to be asking you about, but that's fine. I just want to hear your reasoning for saying what you're saying. So let's go through the first thing. TikTok. What part of the life cycle do we think TikTok is in at the moment? And I'll show you what the part of the life cycle is again. You have introduction, growth, maturity, and decline.
I think
I want to
it's
get your
somewhere
opinion.
in between growth and maturity, sir.
Okay, I hear you. Can you justify your answer? Can you say why?
Well, I can't per se, but I
All right,
think
tell
there's
me what
a
gave you
lot
that
more room
vibe.
for improvement on
I
TikTok.
see, I see, I see, I
Yeah.
see. So
But
we'll have a version
it's
of it
more
now,
known
but you think
now
you can
than
go
back
on.
in the day. That's why I said
I
it's
see.
actually in its growth
In
phase.
between. Okay,
Hmm
I feel you. All right.
But because of the popularity that it has now, I would say that it's close to being mature.
Okay, I got you.
Mhm.
Close to maturity. Got you.
Close to
Damoy,
maturity.
Tariq, what's your opinion on TikTok? Where would you say it lies at the moment? If you want me to go back to this slide to show you the different
Uh,
sections.
Probably in the maturity stage, sir.
Tell me why.
Um, while Yeah, so it might be still growing in
Mm-hmm.
sales. Over time, eventually, I'm thinking probably like it's like in a consistent area where it is right now, although
Mm-hmm.
it's still getting people on it. It's still in
Mm-hmm.
a consistent area, so it's not
Okay.
really doing anything that much different from what it
Okay.
usually does. And because other companies are starting to like copy them and everything like that and copy
Mm-hmm.
certain things
Mm-hmm.
from them, it's taken away from them. And
Mm-hmm.
so they might be in a mature stage, but I also
Mm-hmm.
kind of agree with Ramin that they could still be growing because
Mm-hmm.
they're
Okay.
still very much popular than the other ones that are copying them. But at the same time, the
Okay.
other ones are still copying them in order to
Okay.
like get that.
So originally you were saying that you think it's closer to maturity because it's not really you were saying that everybody that would use it is already using it, right? Like
Yes,
it
sir.
may not get very many adopters in 2026 and going forward. But you do agree with Romanian when he was saying that you think that there are different things that it can still do to get more people. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it still could be in the growth stages.
Okay. I hear you. Tariq, about you?
I'd say it's in the maturity because the point it's at like the user base is about what 1 billion people, and I don't really see it growing that further. It's in a point where it's at its peak.
Okay. So you don't think that it has really much more to do in terms of changing itself, separating itself from the competition,
No,
no?
that's minor updates as certain social media don't nowadays like Instagram and so.
Right.
The only social media I would say that's on a not really on a decline, but it's on a slow decline Facebook because I would already see Facebook popular like one time again.
Right. I agree with you.
I,
That's
I
fair.
used to remember when you used to put everybody on Facebook, but now it's kind of dwindling down.
hmm Got you. All right. So, like I said, there's no one right answer. But let me tell you, the very important thing is that everybody here agrees that it is either somewhere in between growth and maturity or it's in its mature stage, which is good. I'll accept that. Um, so yeah, I would say that if anything, you could consider it TikTok to be in either its late growth period or its early maturity period. Or you could even say that it's firmly in its maturity period, depending on how it is you look at it, which is also very reasonable and valid. Um, but stats will show you that it's still technically growing globally. Um, but even though it's still technically growing, it's still being faced by a lot of heavy competition from things like Instagram, like Tariq mentioned. YouTube Shorts is another big competitor. Um, and you'll see that there's a lot of regulatory pressure in some markets. I'm sure that you guys would have been familiar with the stuff that happened with the CEO of TikTok and the kind of stuff that it's facing in America versus what it's facing in China, all
Yes,
that
sir.
stuff. Yeah, man. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
very much in its maturity stage at the moment. Maybe not solidly. It could be solidly, or maybe it's early maturity, depending on how you look at it. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I accept those answers. Very good. Okay, next one. Go back to the slide. How about WhatsApp? What do we think about WhatsApp? What stage of the product life cycle do we think WhatsApp is in right now?
All right, what's up is a tricky one.
Okay.
Yeah, because it started out as what we call a messenger app. I
Mm-hmm.
know it's basically converting to a social media platform.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
That's true.
that's a bit tricky to answer because for
Mm-hmm.
the messenger part of it, I would say that it reached maturity.
Right.
But for the additional aspects that it's adding to it, I
Mm-hmm.
would say it's basically basically something similar with TikTok.
Okay.
So maybe early maturity because I say it's basically transitioning into a social media platform. It doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
all of the features as yet, but I think at some point in time it's going to get them. So I
Okay.
would say early maturity.
Early maturity. Okay. But like, I guess based on what you're saying, if you were just to focus on the messenger side of it, that
Yeah,
would definitely be
maturity
solid in
going,
maturity,
yeah,
going into
maturity.
decline,
Yeah,
right?
solid maturity.
But if you think about WhatsApp as a whole, everything that WhatsApp has to offer, it
Yeah,
might
and
be.
the integration with even Meta and Instagram, Facebook, and such. There's a
Uh-huh.
lot of potential for growth, but I
I
would
see.
say it's still in the early stage of
Okay.
maturity.
Understand. So WhatsApp might be early maturity. What about you guys? The more Tariq, what you say?
I'd say the
Yeah,
same,
let's say
sir.
maturity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, no problem. You have any thoughts that you want to talk about where its maturity is concerned for WhatsApp?
Well, in a way, I agree with what Ramin is saying that
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of turning itself into a social media app. But
Mm-hmm.
as he's saying, WhatsApp as its intended purpose, its
Mm-hmm.
original intended purpose, it
Mm-hmm.
would be in definitely in the maturity stages.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see.
Although it is giving itself upgrades and updates and things. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say it's kind of still growing since it's
Mm-hmm.
still making differences now.
Right.
But it would
Mm,
be very late stage growth because
okay.
it's really mature in being a social not social media
Messenger app.
a messenger app.
Right. I see what you're saying. Tariq, anything you want to add?
I'd say the same, sir. It's growing quite fast these days, and it has been having major features that's been bringing more people on the app. Like this, which feature wasn't there? The group FaceTime. I think that wasn't. When was that introduced? Can you remember when
Oh yeah, that's recent,
FaceTime?
don't you? The group voice call. Not voice call,
Yes,
video call.
yeah, the
Yeah.
video call. I think that
Yeah.
brought in even more people onto the app.
Yeah, you're probably right. That is a
Yeah, and
relatively new
even with the
feature.
communities that you can
Mm-hmm.
actually
True.
create on it, we
Yeah.
are actually utilizing that a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
especially the
the
communities.
Mm-hmm.
communities.
Right. Community is the thing where you can like have different topics, separate
Yeah,
like separation of concerns in our WhatsApp group, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I see more
Ah,
businesses and schools utilizing that feature now.
right. You know, to be honest, like I am in a group right now that uses the community aspect and it feels kind of clunky to me. I want to say clunky. I mean, like I'm comparing it to like your Slack or your Discord. I don't know if you guys use those apps.
Yes, sir. No
Like,
Discord answer.
yeah,
Probably because
Discord,
it's in its early stage, sir.
maybe you're right. It's still early. Because I feel like in Slack and Discord, communities or channels rather, those are solid. Their implementation of those systems or those features, very good in Discord, very good in Slack. But in WhatsApp, I don't know, it just feel like more than one group chat to me. It don't really feel like a separation of
A
topics or
separation.
concerns. Yeah, I
Yeah,
It
don't,
just
it
feel
just
like
feel
additional groups inside the groups, like
exactly.
a
It just feel
group
like
of
more
inside the
groups.
groups, so you have a main
It
group
feel
and you
like
have
an easier way
subgroups
to
in
join
it.
WhatsApp
yeah,
group.
yeah. But I guess that's what you get from, being in the early adoption, the early growth phase, yeah. So maybe they're going to adapt and change, even though it's been out for a while. I
Improve on
don't.
that.
Yeah, we'll see if it improves. I don't know. All right, good, cool. All right, so the third thing now, I will be surprised. Do you guys know what a fax machine is?
Decline, sir.
All right, I hear you say decline, so that means you know what a fax machine is.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, got you. Let me hear more words. Why you say
Yeah, that's
decline?
that's that's a decline feature, sir, because currently you have well, you have printers that is coming out with a feature to
Mm-hmm.
scan to email, so you get
Mm.
the what you would actually fax to a next entity or person.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
actually just scan it to their email
And
address.
just send it straight to them
Yeah,
email.
send it straight to
Exactly
them.
right.
And
That's
there's
very
a
true.
lot of additional means
Mm-hmm.
to do it
Mm-hmm.
also. So that's
Exactly.
that's on a decline, sir. End of
That's
life.
definitely on the decline. If it's not dead already, it's on the decline.
Yeah,
For
man.
sure. What about the Tariq? What do you think? That's assuming you guys know what fax machines are, right? Just making sure.
Yes, sir. The
Okay.
When
machine
I
you use
see it,
share
use it.
documents
Come again?
is that the machine you use to share documents over telephone
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, that works over the phone line. Damo, you had said something I didn't hear what you said.
Sure, we see it, but we never use it.
You've seen
I
it but
mean,
never used it. You know what?
it-
As old as I am, I have seen it and never used it too. I've never had any reason to use a fax machine. But my dad has one. No, wait, does he still have it? He had one. I don't know if he still have it, but he definitely had one. Um, the fax machine essentially, it's a printer. It prints documents, but you don't print a document on your own fax machine. When you send a document to print, you print it on somebody else's fax machine. So like if I have a document that I want you to get, if I have like a form that I need you to fill out, I'm not going to print it and then carry it to you. I'm just going to print it on your printer. So I stay from my yard, click print, and it print over your house so that you can sign it. That's basically how a
That's one
fax
of the
machine
things
works.
a modern day printer can just do.
Yeah, exactly. Can already do it as Romain had said. It's a case
Yeah.
where you just scan it and then you just send it straight to your email. So you don't even have to go in and specify where this document must go. All you do, type in an email address, click scan, and it just sends straight to them email as soon as it done scan, which is something that modern printers can do and have been doing for a long time, for many years, actually. So there's not really much point having a fax machine anymore. And another
Yeah.
reason why we don't really need fax machines anymore is because lots of places are trying to phase out hard copy. So,
Into soft
like,
copy
exactly when
or
you're trying to fill
digitalize
out a form,
certain
exactly
information.
digitizing new forms, you don't need to be able to use your pen and paper anymore. There are certain formats or certain processes that you go through. You either do it on your phone or you sign it like digitally. Um, all different things that you can use to replace the need of a fax machine or the printed hard copy. Yeah. So yeah, I agree. It is, if it's not on the decline, it is completely dead. Yeah. And then the last one, big one. AI assistants like your Chat GPT, your Claude, your Gemini, all them some. Where do we think we are with those? Romain, I see you unmute a while ago. You don't want to talk?
Growth.
Growth. All right.
Yeah, I would say growth.
Mm-hmm. Go on, tell me why.
AI have a lot of potential, sir.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
So it's
And
still
like
on the
every
rise
day,
right
yeah,
now.
every day is
Yeah.
something new with AI.
Yeah.
Every
Mm-hmm.
single day. 'Cause even like
It's true.
ChatGPT, they're still releasing like different versions. Like every
Mm-hmm.
now and then, Claude keep on integrating additional features.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of potential is there, sir, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of growth also. Because, all right, let's say for example, when ChatGPT just came out,
Mm-hmm.
um, they couldn't actually create a, what you call it, I saw this feature the other day on the pro version. So I think it can actually create like diagrams. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Diagrams. So you can request it,
Okay.
give it
Yeah.
the information, and it can actually create a diagram, actual diagram for you. And
Okay.
at first, it could have done that.
Okay.
Couldn't have done that.
I'm a little bit skeptical. I'm not saying that it can do it. If it can do it, it's probably a very, very new feature because I have tried doing that in the
It,
past
it can
and
do
it
it,
is
sir.
not very good.
I,
But if you say
well,
so,
it's not
I'll
very
go back
good.
and try.
No, because
Okay,
all right, the
right.
thing is, and it depends though, because it actually give you the images with some of
Mm-hmm.
the information. It might not be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it actually have some of the information that you're actually asking for, that is
Mm-hmm.
very impressive. So
Okay.
there's a lot of room for growth there also,
Right. Okay.
right?
I see what
That's
you're
why I say
saying.
it's in
It's on
the
the
growth
growth.
stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. The more Tariq, the more I had said growth, I think. And I want you to tell me why you so very enthusiastically said growth.
So AI is still very like new. It's
Mm-hmm.
still very much new. So it wouldn't be in
Mm-hmm.
the introduction. It is nowhere near the maturity phase or on the decline,
Mm-hmm.
since people are very much still being introduced to it. And
Right.
as everybody know, AI is rapidly evolving,
That's
very much
true.
rapidly evolving.
I agree.
So it would still be in the growth stages due to that,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody discovering it and all the updates, upgrades, and everything. And it's still not completely finalized in how it is supposed to be functional in certain
Mm-hmm.
ways, if I understand what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So its usage is all over the place. So it's good in that regard, but there is more
Yeah,
that can be done with it.
I
There's a lot more
agree.
that can be done with it
I most
and
certainly
into
agree.
different stages,
Right.
in different
Okay.
places.
Yeah, real good. Tariq, anything to add?
No, I agree with Domo's point. It's in
Mm-hmm.
its early growth stage because it's almost 4 years old now.
Four? Really? It's only really?
ChatGPT came out like in 2022.
Really? Hold on. True?
That is
Chat.
ChatGPT, but the AI thing overall, I think he did it
Yeah,
longer
AI
than
is
that.
always been around, but
Yeah,
it's been around
AI
in
been
different
around for a
ways.
Yeah,
while.
But
this way, the way that we are using it now, I mean.
the machine learning AI is what we've been using
Um,
now are relatively
Oh,
new.
yeah,
right.
2022, so
Yeah, that's true. It really is 2022.
From COVID.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty new. Interesting. And as you guys have been saying, it's very rapidly evolving. The stuff that AI and the chatbots can do right now is very much not plateauing just yet. It's not mature yet because either they're coming out with new features, coming out with better output for these existing features. The quality of the stuff that it's able to do is getting better and better with each passing day. And I'll give you an example. Believe it or not, I don't know if it's going to be hard for you to believe, but it would definitely be hard for me to believe if me never know. The slides that you're looking at were created by Claude. I did nothing. All I did, I gave Claude the what name there? The outline, the course outline. And I say, yo, let's make some slides. Every week I come to you guys right before the class starts, I say, yo, Claude, make some slides. And he just make the slides. And these are the slides that I'm presenting from right now. Yeah. The only thing I did
But
was
more
I added the
impressive than
picture. It's terribly impressive. I added this picture
well,
of the blackberries though. That's the only thing I
I
did.
used to use it for I know it's the preferred AI for
For code,
coders.
right? Yeah. It's
Yeah.
exceptional for code. Very, very good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and I see that they actually even integrate like some games on it.
Really? That's
Yeah,
interesting. I
they
didn't know
have
that.
some games on it now.
Okay. Probably have to check that out. But yeah, so all the things that it can do. I remember there was some time ago, a few months ago maybe, where I tried using ChatGPT to make slides. And it was awful. It was absolutely horrible. And that was just a few months ago. I don't know how good it is at doing it now. To be honest, I don't think it would be a whole lot better. It might be better, but ChatGPT is just one product out of the very many AI assistants. You have
Yeah, that's
some services that you can use that are specialized at writing slides, but Claude is, in my opinion, way better than anything I will ever need otherwise because of just the sheer magnitude and quality that it is able to produce when it comes to slides or code or design or, any of those technical things that you need. So yeah, I agree with your points. Our AI assistants and our chat GPTs, our Claudes, our Geminis, they're very much in the growth phase at the moment. Rapid adoption, lots of investments. They have a lot of competitors entering the market, and it's still pretty early. The market isn't yet saturated, and new use cases are emerging constantly for these systems. Yeah, so real good. Okay, so moving on. I want you to notice how the phase of a product.
wait
Oh,
this,
yes, go ahead. Mhm.
So you're paying for cloud?
Oh, yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely. It's so worth
wow.
it. Listen, you and me, we're in different, well, I'm assuming that you and I are in different stages of life, right?
Yes,
I
sir.
use Claude as a tool, right? I'm using it so that I can present quality content to you guys as a lecturer. If I wasn't using Claude, the information that I would be using to present the information to you, it would not be as good. The quality wouldn't be as good. And I'm hoping you will be the ones to tell me if you think that the quality of the stuff I'm using to present is making the learning process better or easier, right?
Yeah, these are. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, I surely hope so, because otherwise I'm wasting my money. But it's not to say that I'm only using it for teaching. I'm using it for code as well. So like I'm a part of different software companies, and I'm using Claude to write my code for me. I'm using it to review my code and using it to build designs and stuff like that. And I'm able to get a whole lot of quality out of Claude, and it is definitely worth it. The faster you can get something out, the more efficiently you can get something out, is the faster you get paid, the more you get paid. So I'm using it. I'm spending money to make money. Yeah. So tell me if it makes sense. It makes sense?
yes, sir.
yes, sir. It makes
Most
sense.
definitely.
Yeah, man, for sure. Okay. So yeah. So what I was saying now. Oh, by the way, I also use the mark assignments. I don't know if I should be telling you guys that I'm recording, but yes, it has been helping me mark assignments throughout the exam period, and it's been a major help. Yeah. So yeah, if anything, you guys get a low grade in your exam, don't blame me, blame Claude. A joke. Well, yeah. So yes, so yeah, I want you to notice how the phase of a product, sorry, the phase that a product is currently in tells you a lot about what's going to happen next. So if you have a system or a software in its growth phase, you would expect more competitors and rapid changes in the application or in the system. If it's in its maturity change, you'd expect stability, but you should start watching out for decline signals, because those decline signals are most definitely what are going to be coming next. And it also very much depends on how long it's been in the maturity phase for when you can start to expect a decline. Yeah. Okay. This next topic now, this is the last topic for this session, and we're going to be talking about a relatively um controversial topic, which is planned obsolescence. Okay, you'll understand why I say it's controversial in just a bit. So plus planned obsolescence is when a company deliberately designs a product with a limited lifespan. The goal in this case is to encourage you as the user to upgrade or replace the product sooner than you otherwise would. The product doesn't break by accident. It's designed to become outdated. It's designed to get slow, and it's designed to get incompatible with the existing competitors over time. Not competitors, but existing systems over time, right? And this is very common in three very specific industries. It's very common in technology, it's common in fashion, and it's common in user electronics. I guess you could consider that to be technology as well. But yeah, slight overlap or yeah, slight overlap. So it's common in technology, fashion, and user electronics. And I'm going to give an example that you've probably experienced. First example is your smartphone. You ever notice that your smartphone starts to feel a little slow, maybe 2 or 3 years after you buy it? Is not always going to be because of the hardware failing. It could actually be because the new software updates were designed to run on newer, faster hardware. The update technically works on your phone, but it works slower. It might drain the battery faster. And the features on your phone, they start to break or they start to glitch. And then you're going to get frustrated. And what are you going to do? You're going to buy a new phone. So that's an example of how planned obsolescence can manifest. Another example, separate from smartphones, is your printer. So now this one's really controversial. And I could get in trouble for saying this. I don't know with who, maybe a big printer going to come to me and knock on my door. But printer manufacturers, they sell their printers, the printer unit themselves, them sell the printer cheap. Sometimes they even sell it below cost, meaning like the amount of money it takes for them to produce it, they sell it for less money than that.
Oh, sir, I know what you're gonna say.
Oh, you know what I'm going to say? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what I'm going to say.
Sir, so then sell the printer them at a low price so you can get the printer to use, so you
Right.
can have it as you own it. So
Right.
you'd have the printer for yourself. But then where the money really come from is the ink. The amount of prices you have to pay for the ink or maintenance of the printer, because the printer ink, you can always need the printer ink over and over again. So there's and then printer ink expensive, especially with depending on the type of printer you buy. So
That is
them
correct, yeah.
can put your the printer price, the printer ink price at any price they want. And then for certain cartridges, you can see so the ink no finish fade,
Right.
but yet still the printer nah print nothing for you.
Printer, nah, print nothing. Exactly right. I was looking a while ago to see if I can find what the most expensive liquid is. And I'm seeing alcohol, but that's not what I was expecting to see. There was a point when I saw something like either the most expensive liquid on the world or one of the most expensive liquids on the world was actually printer ink. I'm not seeing any examples of it. No, maybe I can find it later and show you guys. But printer ink, especially per unit volume, is one of the most expensive liquids on the planet for exactly what Damoy just shared a while ago. You get the printer, having the printer, owning the printer, that's the easy part. That's cheap. because having the printer doesn't allow you to use the printer. What allows you to use the printer is by having the ink cartridges. And so yeah, so they make their money from the ink cartridges. Some ink cartridges actually have chips on them that talk to the printer. They communicate with the printer and they tell the printer to stop working after it's printed a certain number of pages. And as the boy said, even if there's ink still in the cartridge, it will still just not print for some seemingly weird reason, like just no reason at all. And the next thing is you think that maybe what you could do is get around it by using third-party ink cartridges. But third-party ink cartridges will be flagged by the printer itself as what's the word I want to use? I forget what the word is. But yeah, third-party ink cartridges are blocked by the printer firmware. Can you guys hear my background? I'm hearing a lot of, is that fireworks?
So you're not hearing about the
You're not hearing the
music.
background? Okay, I'm hearing a lot of explosions in my background right now. I don't know if it's gunshot because it's been going on for like 10 seconds straight now.
You're on the other
Would
side?
there be any reason for fireworks right now? What's today? Today's March 3rd. We don't need.
So probably the so where you live? If it's in Kingston, so it's probably the Gibson McCook I'd say name the Gibson McCook release or something.
Gibson Relays? Where's Gibson Relays being held right now?
Stadium. Stadium.
Is that stadium? Oh, okay. I guess
Yeah,
you might
so
have
probably
stadium there.
people watch it on the TV or something.
Oh, okay. Okay, I have no idea. I'll probably find out later. But yeah, sorry about the interruption. Okay, so yes, I was talking about printers. Yeah, so third-party printer cartridges are blocked by firmware updates or just the firmware of the printer itself. So you can't get around it by using third-party ink cartridges. So that was example number 2. Example number 3 now is software end of life, which is very the same as what we're talking about in the early part of the lecture when we're talking about Windows 10. So this one is directly relevant to systems integration. When Microsoft says Windows 10 reaches end of life, they're not saying that the software is going to stop work. It'll still work, but what they're saying is they're going to stop releasing security patches. So any organization that's still running Windows 10 is going to become a security risk, which forces them to upgrade to Windows 11, force them to pay for Windows 11 so they can upgrade, right? That is a form of planned obsolescence. Yeah. There are cases, however, where I'm not sure why this happens, but I have seen where Windows 10 has entered a phase at the moment of like extended use or extended long-term long-term something I don't remember what name, where like some companies or some organizations that are very heavily dependent on Windows 10 and they can't either they can't afford to switch over to Windows 11 or switching over to Windows 11 is going to be a bigger hassle than they want to endure at the moment. Microsoft will create a version of Windows 10 or rather they will continue to provide software updates to those select companies at a particular cost, obviously, so that they won't have to go through the whole process of upgrading to a different operating system or migrating away from a different operating system. Yeah. I'm not sure how long that's going to last, to be honest. I don't even know if it's at end of life now, where like, the extended release is at end of life now, but I know that there was something with Windows 10 in particular. So yeah, so that is the 3 examples of planned obsolescence. Okay, so now we're going to talk about why planned obsolescence matters for systems integration. So as a systems integrator, why should you care about planned obsolescence? Because it directly affects your integration strategy. I'm going to give you some scenarios. And in these scenarios, planned obsolescence creates real problems. So here's the first scenario. API deprecation. We talked about deprecation earlier. So say you're using some form of third-party API, and this third party or this vendor, they have 2 versions of the API. The early version, version 1, and they have a later version, version 2. Version 2 just come out. So you build your integration using version 2, right? You use the version 2 of the vendor's API to build your integration. 2 years later now, so 2 years pass, and the vendor comes out with not version 3, but version 4. And then they announce that version 2 is going to shut down in 6 months. So now this means bad news for you. Your integration going to break unless you rebuild it. Because it could be a case where you guys know about backwards compatibility, where you have some system, you're able to use a particular version or you use certain inputs on your system, and then you upgrade the system, and then you find that either you have to use different inputs to get the same output, or you're able to use the same inputs that you used for the previous system in this new system and get a same output because it's able to accommodate old processes. One easy example would be, your PlayStation or your Xbox. For a long time, backwards compatibility in PlayStation was almost a given, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm pretty sure you can play all, well, I was going to use the example of PS1 and PS2, but you guys don't know what that is. You guys probably were born into the world when the PS4 was just becoming a thing. You guys know about PS3 even? I had a
Yes,
PS3
sir.
when I was in high school, maybe?
I know about the
Come
PS3.
again, not hearing you, you're low.
Yeah. Sorry, sir.
Mm-hmm.
But the PS3
Mm-hmm.
that didn't last long though.
That it,
I
it
feel like
didn't
that was
last
a
long?
failed. Yeah, PS3.
Really? That's crazy. The
The
PS3
PS2
was
was
my
the
whole
peak of
life.
PlayStation
Okay,
before the
you know what?
PS4,
You're
sir.
not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. The
Okay.
PS2 was peak. The PS2 was fully peak.
Okay.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me look it up real quick. Hold on. If I'm not mistaken, best selling game console of all time. And yep, it's a PS2. The PS2 is the
I told
best
you.
selling game console of all time. It absolutely is.
That was the
Followed
peak
only
of
by the Switch.
PlayStation, man.
You're right. It's the peak of gaming, clearly, because it's the best selling console. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely correct. So, the point I was trying to make was backwards compatibility is something that's very much held closely in the PlayStation ecosystem, if I remember correctly. So, like PS2s, I'm pretty sure I can play all PS1 games. Maybe not all of them, but most of them, if anything. PS3s at some point could play PS2 games, but I think they phased that out because they wanted people to stop buying PS2 games and buy PS3 games instead. PS4, that was its own thing. And then PS5. PS5 was forced to be backwards compatible. You could, at a certain point, even up until recently, you could play any and every PS4 game in a PS5 because PS5s were hard to get. Because of COVID and scalping and all that stuff, it was very difficult for people to buy PS5s. So if you want people to still play your games, anytime you release a game for PS5, you'd also have to release it for PS4 as well, so that people can play those games.
Yeah,
Because almost,
the
yeah, go
PS4 and
on.
PS5 version.
Exactly. PS4 and the
Mm.
PS5 version. Because if you release it for PS5 alone, just 10 people can be able to play it because only 10 people had PS5s. Yeah. So that is one of the things that you have to consider in your systems. Like when you're integrating into your systems, being able to make sure that the system that you're going to integrate into is able to take the same processes and the same inputs as the system that you were using before is something you need to heavily consider. If it can't, if the new system that you're going to integrate into requires an entirely separate process or entirely set of inputs, different set of inputs, then you're going to have to rebuild your integration. And if you take too long to rebuild your integration, then you're going to be at a loss when it comes time to actually migrate. Because when system 2 or version 2 gets deprecated and shuts down, your system that you use to build into your your system that you integrated their application or API into is going to stop working completely. And so you'll be dead in the water. You won't have the services that you expect to have from that vendor's API. Okay, back to the scenario. So they're saying, you have your service or your system integrated into version 2 of the vendor's API. And then they said that they're going to shut down version 2 in favor of the new version 4. The vendor deliberately retires the old version to push everybody to the new one. So that's a scenario that can happen in your system that you'd have to account for. You'd have to very closely watch the product life cycle of any system that you're currently integrated into. So that's the first scenario. Scenario two now, a forced platform migration. A company you've integrated with moves from on-premise to cloud only. And we know some of the drawbacks that can come from a on-premise version to a cloud-only version. When you have on-premise, you're really only paying for the software, and you might be paying for the hardware that the software runs on. But if you're paying for a cloud-only related software, you're definitely almost certainly going to be moving into a subscription-based platform, because if it's on-premise, you host the application yourself. You own the computer that the software runs on. So all you're doing is paying for light bill, right? But if it's cloud only, you're not paying your light bill anymore. You're paying somebody else's light bill, because somebody has to use their own computer and their internet bill to host your application that you're using every day, if not every day, every week, or every month, or once a year, or whatever, right? So it's going to become a cloud subscription in that event. Um, in a case like that, so the scenario entailed moving over from a on-premise, so self-hosted or on-premise setup to a cloud-only setup. And then they stopped supporting the on-premise version. So if your integration was built specifically for the on-premise API, now it's not going to work at all. So now you have to rebuild your system from scratch. Yeah, because building your system to be able to work on the on-premise system is going to usually be very different from integrating into a cloud-based or a cloud-only setup, mostly because of the ways that we connect our systems to those other external systems. It might be the case where if you have it set up on-premise, all you need to do is give it a IP address and a username and a password, and you can connect to your system. But if it's cloud only, you're probably going to need to set up more than just a username and password. You're going to need a whole account, and the account is probably going to come with some client secrets or some authentication keys and all different things that you're going to need. Different clearances, different types of user roles and user accounts, all different things that are going to probably be different from your on-premise situation. Question, am I saying words that we're familiar with, or am I losing you guys? Because I feel like I'm getting carried away. I want you to tell me. Any part of it I need to do again? Do I need to slow down? Or are we good?
A good sir.
All right. You say you're good.
Sure.
So we're good. Okay. So yeah, that was scenario two, where we talk about moving over from a on-premise situation to a cloud-only situation. All right. Scenario three now, where we talk about hardware end of life. So let's say the server that your integration runs on reaches an end of life. And when I say server, I'm talking about the physical computer. And the end of life might come in the form of maybe the CPU that your system is using to run, or maybe the RAM that it's running on is very old and it's about to start failing, like hardware wise. The manufacturer of this server that you're using to run your system or your integration possibly stops making replacement parts. The operating system maybe can't be patched anymore. So at this point, you'd be running your critical integration on hardware that's becoming less and less reliable with each passing day. So if it's a case where you have a system that is running on hardware like old hard drives or old CPUs or old memory, and they're going to be crashing or they're going to start failing soon, you'd want to start considering moving over to an entirely different software or server setup. Because if it's a case where your CPU fail one day and you find that those CPUs are not in production anymore, you're going to have a lot of headache and a lot of running around to move over to a system, a modern system, without having a currently already functioning system. So if you're trying to migrate over from one old system over to a new one and your old system does not work as it should, it's going to be very difficult for you to move over to your new system. Yeah? Am I making sense? Are we okay with the three scenarios? And why was it planned obsolescence matters? in system integration. Yeah. Okay, so what's the lesson?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, cool. So the lesson is when you're planning an integration, you need to think about not just whether it works today. You need to also think about how long it's going to keep working. You need to check the vendor's roadmap. You need to look at their history of deprecating older versions. And you need to build your integrations so that they can be updated or replaced without tearing everything down. Very important thing to consider. Have you guys ever used any app or service that you use and it just stopped working because the company forced an upgrade? I mean, aside from Windows, like has it ever happened to you for any other reason or using any other system or software?
I don't think so, no, sir.
No? Well, maybe because you're young. Hasn't happened yet, but I want to feel like it's definitely happened to me in a few scenarios before. Can I think of any now? It usually happens to me in the form of like software libraries where like I'll be writing my code and my code is going to be dependent on a third-party library that makes a particular function easier for me to implement. And then you find that later when I'm trying to upgrade my entire software now, I can't use this function anymore because the function got deprecated because the library upgraded for some reason. So I have to rebuild my whole software to be able to be compatible with the new version of the library now. If I'm not mistaken, that is for the most part how I have experienced that type of planned obsolescence. But yeah, I guess if you decide to stay in computing and information technology after school, you more than likely experience planned obsolescence in one way or another. But yeah, so like I said, this was a short session. Okay, it wasn't as short as I thought it was going to be. Took about, what, 80 minutes or 110 minutes? But yeah, that's fine. But yeah, we can wrap up. Um, let's look back at the things that were covered. Oh wait, where are my slides? Yeah, so the stuff that we covered in this session, we covered, where am I? Yeah, so we talked about PLC and we talked about how it describes the stages and the product. The stages that a product goes through from launch to discontinuation and how it helps organizations make decisions about strategy, about marketing, resources, and product development. We also went through different phases of the PLC, which is introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. We looked at what each one means for the system integration. We talked about how introduction phase is risky because they're new and they're unstable. We talked about the growth phase being the best time to where is it? The best time to integrate. Maturity is stable, but it's good for you to watch out for the decline signals because it's not a good time to integrate into a system that's going to be on the decline. And then the decline phase is the danger zone where you need to start thinking about a migration plan, right? And then we covered planned obsolescence, companies deliberately designing products to limit lifespans, API deprecation, which forced platform migration, and we also talked about hardware end of life and all the challenges that you face as a system integrator. Yeah, so I think in Friday's class, we'll talk more about two particular concepts. We're going to be talking about the difference between a system life cycle and a technology life cycle. That's one topic. And the other topic is going to be product management. And then we can probably do a review. I think on Friday, we may end Unit 2. So we started Unit 2 today, and we may be able to end Unit 2 on Friday. And then next week, Tuesday, we can probably do a review. We can do an activity to cover the information from both Units 1 and 2. And if the plan goes well, maybe we can have our first course graded assignment on Friday. I'm not entirely sure yet if it's going to be a take-home thing or if you're going to do it during the session. But if you don't hear anything else from me, prepare for something on Friday. Um, and I guess now I have access to you guys on Canvas, so I can send out announcements if anything. Yeah. And I'll try to remember. I'm going to work on getting the all the recordings posted tonight so that you guys can do your review. Also, I was asking, Romain, you weren't here for when I asked this question. I was asking if you guys want any supplementary notes aside from the slides. Like Tariq and Damoy were saying that the slides alone, plus the explanation that I give in the recordings is adequate. But I wanted to know if you would care for any supplemental notes, anything like a study guide or something like that. Or
Yes,
if you
sir.
would like a study guide.
Yeah, that would be good if you
All
can
right,
provide
cool.
a study guide.
All right, no problem.
Mhm.
I will see if I can get you a study guide for the stuff that we'd have covered, and I'll post them on Canvas so anybody can use them and go through them. All right. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, we'll continue on Friday and we'll have an activity and some review on Monday next week, and then maybe Friday we'll have a graded assignment or an assessment. That good? Any questions? Any points to bring up? All right. Yeah, so if that's it, if there are no more questions, enjoy the rest of your evening, gentlemen.
Same to you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Ah,
Yeah.
later.